what do you say to someone grieving?
I mean, the I'm sorry thing, because people are sorry, and I
Right.
understand that a lot better. I usually let people, I'm gonna be honest, most of the time I don't even send words because there are no words.
Yep.
Like that's one of the biggest things I think people try to explain away the grief because they're uncomfortable. And my if you listen to nothing else that I say, understand that my discomfort is not your responsibility. Like, you are not responsible for me to feel comfortable. It sucks. I'm uncomfortable. You're uncomfortable. And if you don't like it, you can just kindly wait until some time has passed or something. But like, it's going to be uncomfortable. There's nothing that's going to make this go away, unless you bring them back, which is, I haven't seen anybody do that yet.
Uh,
So, I usually, my go-to is I'll just send a few emojis, like some hearts and praying hands, like, cause like I'm here. Or I just say, hey, if there's any way that I can serve your family in this time, let me know. I usually try to ask people if they need help with the services, because while they're considering the magnitude of the loss, they're also in go mode. That first week is really, really busy and they haven't had time to like really process the loss because you have to do the arrangements. It's not, this was pre-pandemic, so it wasn't like people were waiting months and months to have some type of memorial service.
mhm.
Like they had to deal with it right then because there's like a tiny window that you have to get the body done or whatever. That's weird to say. But
Hey.
you know, weird. But you do that. And so I usually, I ask, is there anything that I can do to help with the service? Take some of the responsibility, but some people like to stay busy. So I keep it light. Hey, is there any way that we can serve you in this time? Have you eaten? Do you need food? And then I just a simple, hey, I'm here.
Mm,
Whatever you need. Scream, cry, sit in silence, whatever it is, just know that I'm here.
right. I'm going to fire off some questions here. What do you think is the best thing, if that's even the right word to say, that you've pulled from this experience of loss?
The best thing has been that I can be there for other people who've experienced the same loss. And that's such a crazy thing to say. Um, but there's something very cathartic about being able to lend your ear and lend your experience to someone who's going through, because in that moment, especially with such a significant loss. And I'm not just talking about like just siblings. I'm talking about anybody that you're really close to that's a part of your daily existence, your makeup of who you are as a person. When you lose someone like that, um, you're struggling to function. You really, it's like you can't breathe. I always say when she took her last breath, she took my breath away. And for a long time, I had a really hard time like catching my breath. Literally, I would just find myself gasping for air. I would have nightmares of being in that room all the time. And that's something I had to work through in therapy, was come out of the room. I had to stop living in her hardest moment and start remembering the best things, the things that made her Karen. Her dying didn't make her the woman that I loved so much. It was the woman that she was that made, her living is what made me love her so much. And so I think that gave me a better perspective on how to help other people who are grieving. Um, I have some friends who told me that I'm really good at it, which is kind of a weird thing to say. Like, you're so good at being there for people who are grieving. And I'm like, that's an interesting thing to
I see
say,
it.
that
I
I'm
see
good
it.
at
I see
grief.
it.
But it's like experience, right? So like I can gauge when it's time to leave. Like, okay, you you want to be alone. That's cool. I'm not offended. Or you want some company, but you don't want to talk. That's also cool. I can tell that you want to be close because you've put your head on my shoulder. So I'm just going to sit here and I'm not going to move.
Mm,
And I'm not going to talk unless you want to talk. And so I don't remember if I mentioned this to you when we talked before, but it just so happened about a year after my sister passed, my best friend lost her brother suddenly as well. Um, they found him. I guess he had a heart attack or something, and so he died quickly. He was young. He was younger than my sister. He was like 31, which was insane because we were just a few years younger than him. So we're just like, what is going on? And I just so happened to be in her city the weekend that he passed. And so, her mom messaged me and was like, don't leave my baby down there, bring my baby back home. And she didn't want to get on a plane. And so I rented a car and I drove with her. And I remember one minute it'd be silent, the next minute she'd be telling a story about her mom and like cracking up. The next minute she'd be crying her eyes out. And then it'd be quiet again. And we went through that for 12 hours of a drive. And it was perfect because I understood. I understood so much. So I wasn't fazed by any of it. And I feel like people who don't know what that's like, they don't know how to handle it. They're just like, what do I do with this? We were just laughing. Why are you crying now? And I'm like, it's not for you to understand. Feel your feelings. And so, long story longer, I think it made me a more compassionate person. And I'm really grateful for that.